Cambridge Breakfast with Julian Clover.
Cambridge Radio.
More than a year after the Milton Road improvement scheme was completed, concerns are being raised about the health of many of the newly planted trees. Former Cambridge City Council leader Lewis Herbert says more than 1 in 10 have already died, with others in poor condition, and he believes the Greater Cambridge Partnership should have done more to protect them during the dry weather. He's also criticised the decision not to allow him to ask a public question on the issue at last week's GCP Executive Board meeting. Lewis is on the line now. Morning, Lewis.
Good morning.
Tell me about the trees. I gather you've been counting them. How serious is the problem, and what have you found?
Well, I noticed there was a serious problem over a year ago, and I wrote to the GCP to say, look, these trees are starting to die, the watering isn't working, and can you please do something about it? And nothing happened, except that I got an email fobbing me off saying we think the watering regime is working. And 2 weeks ago I counted, and there's 22, a bit like the Norwegian parrots. There's I think 13 that are certifiably dead, and then there's another 9 that have just got a smattering of few leaves left, and they're on their way out. They are near deceased. They're going to kick the bucket.
So we've seen this sort of thing before. Go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah. No, I then submitted my public question, and I was pretty shocked, given that the Milton Road scheme was on their agenda in terms of spending, that they declined to answer.
Now, a couple of things come out of this. The first is that we've kind of seen this issue with trees before, with the upgrade, I think, it would have been the A14, when I think in this instance it was National Highways who would have been responsible. The trees were planted. A year later, I don't know, I think it was in excess of 40% of the trees had died, quite simply because nobody had thought about caring for them.
Well, I've looked hard at the verges, and these were semi-mature trees, and they weren't properly planted. And a lot of the verges make sure that the water runs straight off if there's rain, which is stupid because when we know that we're going to have these ridiculously hot summers, including now, you have to actually hold on to the water. So, no, there's over 10% dead, and there's huge stress amongst the others. I then got a reply finally last Friday, but it effectively said that it wasn't the GCP's problem, that the county council owns the trees now, and that the city council has had a contract to water them. And we made promises at the GCP because of the much-loved cherry trees, as you might remember, Julian.
Milton Road looked beautiful. Milton Road looked beautiful with the trees before the work took place. I possibly have nothing against the work itself, but it was a shame to lose those trees.
It was patchy. There was plenty of flowers in blossom time, but the trees did need a refresh. But in response, and assisted by the GCP's own local liaison forum involving the residents' associations chaired by Jocelyn Scott, the GCP made a commitment that there would be an avenue of trees along Milton Road, and I made that commitment. I was then the chair. I was the chair for 5 years in total. And the whole point is that with climate change, if you're elderly or anybody walking along that road, and people will know from the last couple of weeks, it's really hot, and it's not particularly safe for older people and frail people or asthma sufferers to just be out there in such blinding heat. So the whole point was that you would have an avenue and also some tree shelter.
Do you think this is simply a good old-fashioned case of buck passing? Because if you look around Cambridge, as you'll know, Lewis, because you were involved in local government here for many years, there are just so many organisations, so it's quite easy for any of them to say, oh, it's the guys over there, they're responsible for this.
Well, I mean, that's one of the real reasons why we need this reorganisation, which I hope will be clear, and maybe a greater Cambridge Council proposed by the end of January. Sorry, it's early morning, end of July. And no, I just don't accept that the GCP can walk away. If as you rightly mentioned, the National Highways Agency tried to walk away. Imagine if they tried to say to the local council, Hunts District Council or South Cambs, we want you to replace the trees. It is not the job of the City Council or the County Council. The GCP has got a job to deliver the scheme as promised, and trees were a promise.
Now, the GCP often gets a bad rap for all sorts of things, and one of them, which people say, is that it's unelected, but I guess it's the case now as it was when you were there. As voters, we elect people to, it's the City Council and it's the County Council, and it's, I think, also there's an element of university in there too. And so we're voting for these people, and they sit on the GCP. So I don't know. It seems very strange that within the GCP they're able to say, well, it's the fault of the City Council or it's the fault of the County Council, when actually it's those two organisations that runs it.
I mean, yeah, there's a chair and there's the County Council, South Cambs and the City. So I held myself accountable to the public when I was chair, and I believe that this scheme will fall into appalling state unless the tree management is considered. It inevitably, as with other construction projects, it came in much more expensive. They've already spent, I think, 31.9 million. As a basic minimum, I think getting the tree situation, replacing and getting those verges sorted is going to be £150,000. That's a lot of money. But the road needs trees, and I don't see that the GCP can walk away from this. I'm hoping to hear back, and I don't think they responded properly to the Cambridge Independent, which covered it on page 1 today. And they've got till 2030 to get things right, and they've got to get the trees back on Milton Road.
And do you think those trees are savable, the ones which remain?
I think they are, but at the moment, the drainage means that even in winter they don't get all of the water they should, and the watering regime is the responsibility, effectively, of the GCP, and it certainly was from, as you say, when the scheme finished in 2025. And so, yeah, I believe it is savable. They're lovely trees. They were intentionally semi-mature trees because we didn't think that doing it the way that the A14 was bodged up by the Highways Agency was acceptable. Those trees have still got life in them that are there, but there'll be another 20 or 50 dead if no action is taken by next year.
The other thing that comes out of this, Lewis, is that if a former leader of the City Council and chair of the GCP can't get a straight answer, what hope is there for the rest of us?
Well, I did get an answer on Friday, and like many residents, when you get an answer from the council, you may not like it. I didn't like the answer because it said that the Cambridgeshire County Council and the City Council should sort it out. And if the GCP has built a scheme, I don't expect other people to actually try and come to their rescue. So I'm going to continue this campaign. It's also a campaign from the local residents' associations and the councillors. And eventually, I'm hopeful that there will be agreement that the money will be put aside. The GCP still has a chunk of money, and they can finish off this scheme properly, like they've tried. And they have done some good work, like the Chisholm Trail, like Histon Road, like a number of other schemes. But they've really got to pull their finger out and save these trees and make sure that they survive the rest of what's going to be another 2 or 3 heat waves before the end of the summer.
Yeah, certainly. Again, it looks like it's going to be warm. I can't believe that this will be the last of the warm weather. Lewis, good to speak to you. As always on that.
And you, Julian.
And you can read, you're very welcome. You can read the piece from Lewis and indeed the accompanying news article on the front page of the Cambridge Independent this morning. The Greater Cambridge Partnership says responsibility for maintaining the Milton Road trees has now transferred to one of its partner organisations, so the GCP itself is no longer responsible for their upkeep. Litfest is returning to the Litlington Recreation Centre on Saturday. It runs from midday through until 9 with a full day of music and live entertainment. I'm pleased to say I am joined by Sturge Mazushi, say that quickly in case I've got it wrong, and young Athena as well, who's one of the performers there. A morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you both.
Good morning. It's a lovely Wednesday.
It is. And I kind of like Wednesdays, although here it's a bit dull and overcast, but I'm comforted by the fact that it's been dull and overcast for the past 2 mornings, and by 11:30 it's been bright sunshine. So I'm figuring it's not all bad. Sturge, I hope it's good sunny as well on Saturday for obvious reasons. Sturge, let me start with you. I know we spoke on the programme before, didn't we, a couple of years back about Litfest. For those who don't know, what is it and where is it?
Yeah, so Litfest has evolved, and we would say it's a cutting edge new music discovery family festival. So what people will get when they arrive to the festival will be a lineup of new music. So it's very specific in that the artists aim to play. They're all exceptional independent artists, and they aim to play sort of 75% of their own original music, and then obviously we like to throw in some covers as well with the rest of the time. So I suppose in a nutshell, that's what we bring really.
It feels very different to some local festivals, and there's lots of them around the Cambridgeshire villages now. Well, what kind of vibe are you trying to create? Because this is not the sort of festival where dads who get together and play in the garage come out for the weekend. Mm-hmm. This is a lot different to that.
Yeah, but I suppose thank you for sort of noticing, and as we've spoken a couple of years ago now when it was beginning, and as I say, it's evolved, it's changed, and it's grown legs, and this is very much a showcase of, it's the committee that look at the artists for each year. It's our perspective, yes. However, we try to search for the most exceptional independent artists that we can bring and aim to provide a platform to really showcase that music. And I suppose it's born and come from a little bit from, if you listen to your Spotify, you're typically shown and suggested everything else that may be in the top 40 or something a little bit more. Whereas there is, and I've learned this over the last couple of years, there is so much outstanding music out there. And, if we can provide a platform and a festival for that, and lots of these artists are playing gigs within the local region, lots of them nationally as well, of course. However, you could see them here. They may have another gig. For example, we're based, of course, in Litlington, just outside Royston, South Cambs, North Herts, and around that area. And you could then go and see them again. So you could discover. So it's all about discovering new music. You could discover an elite, exceptional artist and delivering some great music. And you could then go and see them, in 2 months' time for, at a venue that may be not so far from you, and I suppose doesn't cost in excess of the hundreds of pounds as the big Wembley things do, and still get a great experience.
It's interesting. One of the things that we talk about behind the scenes when we're thinking about the kind of music we play, particularly in daytime, we do we quite a few music showcases of our evening music programs. But during the day, it's music for a general audience. But one of the things which has kind of happened to music in recent years is that it sort of tends to jump up and down between decades. Shows like Stranger Things featuring Kate Bush, as they did. A year or so back, that exposes Kate Bush's music to a younger generation, and actually it works in both directions, and the sort of thing that maybe people might discover when they come to Litfest at the weekend.
Absolutely, and that's very much the intention. So I won't go through the whole lineup. However, so we showcase 12 artists, and however, the types of music that they can discover. So it's not only discovering new artists, it's also a multi-genre music festival in the lineup, so that you may discover and experience a genre that, I quite like that, actually. So we'll be showcasing rock and roll, and there's some soul, jazz and R&B fusion. There's indie rock. There's a 5-piece soul collective, country music, some alt-pop electrifying music, some synth pop, which is similar to Madonna. And then, of course, I'll let young Athena take you through what her genres and what she does herself. However, that's what you have on the lineup. So it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty good, and a couple of familiar names, I think, in there for Cambridge Radio listeners as well. Athena, this is
nice.
Another performance for you, isn't it? Because you've done things like Brit Awards After Party, Notting Hill Carnival, and still really only at the beginning of your career. I'm kind of wondering here, from the various performances you've done already, what's taught you the most and why?
So thank you for having me,
You're very welcome.
First of all. And in terms of what's kind of taught me the most and what kind of performances, if I'm honest, it was right at the start of my kind of musical journey and career. So the shows where there's only 3, 4, 5, or could be 10 or 20, you have no idea how many people will be in the audience. And learning how important shows are to people. And no matter if there's one person or 1 million people in there, it's just as important to give as much as you can at all times, because people, I love live music. Live music has changed my life in so many different ways. And sometimes it's easy to forget that everyone is also going through that with their connection with music. And I'd say the shows right at the start when I was learning about performance, breath control, connecting with a crowd. Those ones connected me the most. So yes, I learned the most there.
It's all sussing out the audience, isn't it? I do quite a few conferences and things, and sometimes you get a conference, you can slip in a quick joke perhaps, and it just goes completely flat, and you're thinking to yourself, right, this is a serious crowd, you got to be straight for the rest of it. And then another time, you can talk about breaded cats on Google, and off you go. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Your music, there's a strong message of female empowerment in there, and I'm wondering, are you expecting young people, and maybe especially young women, to take something in particular away when listening to your songs?
So the saying that myself and my fan base, the Army, speak about a lot is female empowerment music that everyone can take something from. So it's music that truly, if you're a woman, you're listening to it, it can uplift you in many different times of your life and many different experiences. However, it's still very much for everyone. And it's still very much made to uplift everyone and to sing it about themselves or people they love and know. But specifically for women, I think I'm at a journey and a part of my life where I'm really learning about some truly amazing things about girlhood and womanhood and how much you can learn from women around you. And I think if there's one thing that I could say that I'd want people to take away from it, is that through the good and the bad, everything is truly remarkable about being a woman, and it's truly sensational and an amazing experience. And I hope out of my music, women are able to kind of take that message and be able to take it through their days and their weeks and their triumphs and low points. They're really able to to know that they're truly remarkable for what they do. And I hope everyone feels that way regardless.
The one thing I have to say which jumped out at me when I was reading up about you is the fact that your mum's an opera singer and dad's a rapper.
Yeah.
Your own music, blending pop, R&B and soul together. Like a couple of questions out of this, really. The first of all, how did your mum and dad meet? You know, how does an opera singer get together with a rapper?
Well, they've known each other for a long time. Part of their life, they grew up in the same area. So I think that kind of connected them just through being able to see each other at local spaces. And then I think from being together, they had their own musical interests. My mum had been opera singing before, and my dad was into a lot of hip hop. He was into rap and the kind of hip hop culture. And that coming together created like a mutual and beautiful respect and understanding for both of those genres. So then when I was born myself, I was around like from Shostakovich to Public Enemy. It's quite the...
Oh, that's quite a range, isn't it, really? I was going to ask you about musical influences. I wasn't expecting Shostakovich to be one of them.
Yes. I have some of the first ever, like for Christmas, my mum and dad bought me a vinyl player. And some of the first vinyls I bought was Shostakovich, which I tried to listen at night, actually, and was petrified. And when I listened in the day, I could actually really take in the musical excitement of it. The music is so emotive, and there's some really kind of creepy, dark sounds in his compositions, but it's really cool. But yeah, like with my parents, when I was younger, I was surrounded by so many different types of music, and I think my dad's kind of involvement in the early grime scene created like a lot of inspiration for me around rap and around telling stories. And then from my mum's point of view, she put me into cello lessons. So I love classical music since I was very young. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, but I do love it.
You still play cello?
Not right now because I prioritize getting my nails done.
Okay, possibly don't necessarily go together. I was going to say maybe hook you up with Clean Bandit or something. It'd be quite a combination. Are you looking forward to Litfest on Saturday?
Absolutely. 100%. I've been counting down the days from when we found out, and then I've had an everyday month countdown. And I've been really just soaking it all up. And sometimes the process to a festival can be a little bit like, oh my gosh, everything's everywhere. But this time I've tried to be really present and taking in every moment up to the show. Okay,
well, we're looking forward to seeing you there. Sturge, I noticed, though, in addition to all of the great artists you've got lined up, you've still got the traditional things in there. You've got the bouncy castles, you've got the face painting.
Yeah, that's right. So when visitors come to Litfest, there's of course it's all built around showcasing the music, and however there's really two main parts to it, because it's a family festival as well. So we've increased each year. We increased the family zone part of things. So this year, bouncy castle, big inflatable basketball championship, mini football, inflatable bowling, some mini golf, your face painting and everything. And then for the young ones as well, soft play and ball pool, and then also some giant games. So there are games for all ages as well. So the parents can listen and sit and listen and relax and to live music, and the kids will be having a blast on the field with all of the games. That's great. Well, final question, the most important one perhaps. So how do we get tickets? Yeah, of course, yeah. So very user friendly. Eventbrite is what we use. Affordable. The Litfest is a fundraiser for a non-league football club, Litlington AFC, and so that's why we can make it affordable, because it's a non-profit fundraiser. So the child tickets are £5 and the adult tickets are £10, and that's on the door. If you get them now, at the top of my head, £8 for adults before if you get your tickets online at Eventbrite, but you can turn up on the door, and they're £4.50 for children at the moment online. There you go. Great. Well, Sturge and Athena, thank you both very much indeed. And we'll be hearing some of the music of young Athena in just a few moments after we've had a quick look at the travel news. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you so much.